Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Hello, and welcome to another great episode of Foxborough Central. My name is Bob Hickey. So nice of you to take the time to join me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. Once again, I am pleased to be joined by our police chief, Ed.
Good morning.
O'Leary. How are you doing, sir?
Good, thank you.
And I always enjoy having conversations with you because you, not only because of your longevity, but just the fact that you live in our community, you care about our community, you are part of the community, but oftentimes it's necessary to have conversations that are not fun. And this is one of those where it is coming up on prom season and coming up on spring and summer and all the good things that brings, picnics and parties and getting outdoors, but it also brings the annual cycle of drinking and underage drinking, and this is what brings us here together today.
That's certainly true, Bob. It's a good opportunity for us as community members, more importantly, those of us in the community that are parents, to really think about having discussions with our own children, because it's been shown that parents that have conversations and discussions with their children very often make that little bit of difference in preventing tragedies from happening. Just this past weekend, I stopped into the station, and our arrests for that particular night were based on 3 underage individuals that were discovered drinking and behaving dangerously because of it.
Mm-hmm. And with in recent conversation about how Foxborough compares with other communities, number of liquor licenses, there's maybe an incorrect belief that issues of drinking all have to do with a certain business up on Route 1 or items or issues that happen other places and people come into the community, or you can identify one local spot. And that's not true, really, and it's really not what we're talking about. We're talking about just our kids, the youth, and how they access alcohol, and then how they understand the impacts and how they use it, and then what happens next. And we've had conversations in the past about tragedies as they occur or issues as they happen, but this is more of a, and by the way, folks, we are going to intro a public service announcement that's produced, and I hope you'll really enjoy. But more than the PSA, I thought it was a great opportunity, and the chief did as well, to talk about underage drinking and society, how it treats it, how it looks at it, and what we should be doing, not what we could be doing, but what we should be doing as parents.
Well, one of the things you brought up, Bob, yes, we do have a substantial amount of businesses that are in the business of serving alcohol. For the most part, those businesses are very diligent in making sure that young people underage here in Foxborough and that come in from surrounding communities don't have access to alcohol. I'm very fortunate. Members of my staff do compliance checks on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. We notify the people that these checks are going to be happening, because we don't want any surprises on their part, so it gives them an opportunity to review with their employees different regulations, different process that they have to prevent service to minors. Long-term studies done by both the Department of Education and the Department of Justice indicate that a large amount of the alcohol that's drunk by underage people actually comes from our own homes. Mm-hmm. And that, as a parent, you have to make sure that there's no shrinkage in your inventory, so to speak, from a business point of view.
That's a great way of putting it, yes.
So that your children aren't being drinking, number one, but more importantly, that their friends are not having alcohol because your children are bringing it to parties and different events. So I think that our community, going back over 30 years, has always worked with public safety and the liquor operators to make sure that we don't have tragedies. Because that's the goal here, is to prevent young people from having a tragic incident, whether it's a motor vehicle, a sexual assault, a violent crime taking place, that alcohol provides that fuel to poor decision making.
Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it also, the poor decision making, because the teenage mind is not the adult mind, and it processes things differently. And you know, we hear about stories of, oh, there was a big party on Blueberry Island, or there's a big party up in the Gilbert State Forest, or so-and-so was out of town and their kids had a wild party. And we've all heard those stories, and you know, the fluff way of looking is to roll your eyes and go, oh, that's whatever. But the issue is that each one of those participants brought something from their own home. So you talk about inventory shrinkage, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Is we're not talking about license holders that are selling. We're talking about kids getting it, having access to it, and then using it in unwise ways. And
that is correct, Bob. And one of the programs that we've done in the past, and we'll probably do again this spring, is the so-called shoulder tap program.
Okay.
That we have underage people placed outside of some of our outlet places, asking people to go in and buy beer for them. And the purpose of that is to sort of challenge people and make them understand, you know, buying a 6-pack or a 24-pack for somebody underage isn't helping that person. It's really putting them in danger. And we've taken action the last go around when people have been willing to do that and take cash from an underage person that's working for the police, because that's wrong and it puts those teens in danger.
And you have run that program in the past. How successful was it?
The first time, 2 years ago, we actually did it as a test basis. If people said no, we gave them a plus card thanking them. And if people said, well, we're considering it or taking steps to do it, you know, we intervened, gave them a caution, collected some information about the individual, and just made people more aware that you shouldn't be buying alcohol if somebody approaches you.
So the problem of underage drinking is never really going to go away. The problem of the adults' response to it is something that we're looking to address today. And part of that is you've provided to us, courtesy of Department of Education, a wonderful public service announcement that we're going to take a look at now. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about how Foxborough is addressing underage drinking and adults giving access to youth to get this alcohol, and what sort of things you want us to do. So we'll do that when we come back. Right now, folks, let's take a look at this PSA.
My wife and I lost our son because of alcohol about 5 years ago. And a lot, I think, you know, I recognize that he was going through a lot of difficulty. But there was also, I think, a period where I probably was in denial a lot. Well, it's okay, it's not that bad. And I also kind of felt like, you know, with what little advice I was giving him, that he would be able to seek out help. You know, but it was more severe than that. When he did pass away, I mean, the severe shock and the impact of a young person going through this. My wish is that no future parent could belong, Indian parent, will have to go through that.
Death.
Suicide.
Losing family and friends.
Kids getting addicted to alcohol.
Alcohol poisoning.
ER visits.
Kids who look sick all the time.
My friend's getting sick.
Being hungover.
Severe mood swings.
People spending all their money on alcohol.
Kids being drunk in public.
Bad grades.
Kids dropping out of school.
Legal trouble.
Getting arrested.
Getting arrested.
Arrested.
Ending up in jail.
Jail or juvenile hall.
Kids getting DUIs.
Drunk driving.
Car accidents. Fatal car accidents.
Bad decisions.
Bad decisions. Really bad decisions.
People getting into fights.
Fights.
My friends getting in fights.
Injuries.
Severe injuries.
Physical and emotional abuse.
Unwanted sex.
Unintended pregnancy. Alcohol is very common in my community.
A little over 50% of kids I know drink.
I say about 70% of teens on my res drink.
70%.
75%.
75%.
Probably 80% of the kids I know drink.
80%. 80% of the kids in my school drink.
Probably 90% of the kids I know drink.
It's really easy to get alcohol.
Underage usage of alcohol in the Indian community is really an epidemic. It's, and I can speak from personal experience because I believe the first time that I got drunk, that I touched alcohol, I was probably about 9, 10 years old.
I was with my cousins and she's like, do you want some? And I'm like, I guess I could try. And then I guess I had a couple sips and it burned my throat. Like less than half an hour later, I had some more, and all I remember is that I was really, really, like I couldn't keep standing or anything.
My vision kind of got blurry. I was kind of slurring with certain words, usually words that I could say, fine, I couldn't say. I kind of got dizzy, kind of drowsy. I noticed that I kind of felt like fighting somebody for no reason.
My cousin was passed out on the bed, and it was just her. She was the only girl there, and there was like 4 or 5 guys. And so she got really messed up.
My cousin did suicide because his girlfriend was thinking about breaking up with him, and he drank a lot, and he hung himself.
Yeah, so my friend, he was out drinking, and then him and his buddies got into a car, and they got into a car accident, and now he's mentally impaired.
The next morning, I couldn't even eat at all through the whole day. I'm never gonna want to feel like that ever again. It wasn't. Yeah.
It was hard for me to say no when I was offered alcohol because all of my friends were already drinking and I already knew the consequences, but I was caught up in the moment and I wasn't thinking straight.
I mean, peer pressure is like I don't know. See, it's like you think about it and you're like, that's bad and I don't want to do it. But then when it's like someone's handing you like the pipe or handing you the bottle, you're just like, let's do it. I mean, it's kind of hard to say no. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say no.
Well, yeah, it can be really hard to say no sometimes because, like, then you don't want to feel like the outcast, like, because, like, I'm a very outgoing person, and so I'm, like, really crazy, even with, like, out the alcohol. So, like, I always try to say that, like, I don't need alcohol to have fun.
Sometimes it's hard to say no, but I know in my head that I'm never going to say yes. Because I know that if I say yes, then I'm just throwing away all my potential.
I mean, looking back at all the things that I've heard of or seen about underage drinking, it's none of them I can think of have been a positive outcome. It's all been negative. And, like, if you can get nothing positive from drinking, then why do it?
I just think about the outcome and what could happen if, like, I got in trouble, or think about, like, what I'm doing to my body.
It's really easy for me to say no to alcohol because I don't want to disrespect my community, my people, and my ancestors.
It's really easy for me to say no to alcohol because 2 of my cousins died from it.
It's not hard for me to say no because when I say no, it means no, and people know that.
Traditions and values are extremely important because it grounds a youth in what is right and what is wrong, kind of right-mindedness, and it helps them to see the future for themselves.
I do think that the culture can give youth strength, whether you're female or male, because it's something that you can be into, whether it's the dancing or the basket weaving or learning how to cook the traditional foods or making the special clothing that we wear when we dance. It's all things, it's all elements that keep us kind of grounded and not want to venture off to go party and drink alcohol.
You get a connection with your grandparents or your parents or your brothers and sisters when they're trying to teach you how to do a certain thing, whether it's weave a basket or dance at powwows. It's just that connection you have, and you feel special in a way that you don't want to let go. It's your tradition.
It's good to know who you are, and like if you have native traditions, if you're doing this, like if you're out and you're drumming and stuff, you have a drum group, or if you're like making arts and crafts and stuff, you're not on the streets and you're not drinking. Like you have alternatives, healthy alternatives.
I dance and I sing and I don't know, just stuff like that. And like I don't know, I'm spiritually connected to it. You know, like I don't know, like at a powwow and we go and stand by the drums, you can just feel it and just stuff like that. It's a good feeling.
For me, it's just like not many people know of a Native. So it's just like being that special person, you know. When I'm at school, I'm not known as a Native. Like I went to an all-black school, I was known as the white kid. I went to an all-white school where I was known as the black kid. So just being Native is really that special thing that I have. You know, I say to them, I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm Native.
I absolutely love learning about our cultures and traditions.
I love connecting with different generations.
I just love living on the res.
I love this necklace.
I love learning my native language.
I like being unique.
I love playing sticks.
I just love our people.
I'm proud to be Native because we are a strong people.
I'm proud to be Native because of our dances.
I'm proud to connect with past and present family.
I'm proud that we're still here and fighting.
I'm so proud to be Native.
I'm proud to be Native for the spiritual connection to the earth.
I'm proud to be Native because I'm helping keep my culture alive.
I'm proud of our history.
I'm proud to carry down the genes of my tribe.
I'm proud to be Native because that's who I am.
I'm proud to be Native because that's who I am.
Our culture is prevention.
Our Native culture is prevention.
Our culture is prevention.
Our culture is prevention.
As a pediatrician and a parent, I understand it can sometimes feel challenging to talk to your kids and keep the lines of communication open, especially when it comes to conversations about alcohol. Today, we'll be sharing some valuable tips to get that conversation started with your kids and help to prevent them from using alcohol in the first place. One reason why it's so important to keep our young people from using alcohol is because their brains are still developing. For instance, we know that youth who start drinking before age 21 are more likely to become addicted to alcohol because of the natural stages of brain development in adolescence. What's more, young people have less insight into their mistakes and underestimate the risks, which can lead to dangerous situations and unsafe behavior when alcohol enters the picture. The good news is that there are a few simple, effective ways that we as parents can help protect our children from underage drinking. First, give your children clear rules about not using alcohol. Second, make it clear that if they do use alcohol, they'll have a lot to do to regain your trust. And third, set clear boundaries and stick with the consequences if your children cross those boundaries. As you may recall from your childhood, kids often imitate what their parents do. If you choose to drink, it's important to do so in moderation. Letting your children see you have a good time without alcohol lets them know that they can do the same. Also, get to know the parents of your child's friends and make sure that they share the same values about keeping kids alcohol-free. In this video, you will see several scenarios showing you these techniques in action. After watching these interactions, we hope you have a better sense of how to start the conversation with your kids about drinking and feel confident that you can help them decide not to use alcohol.
I know it's hard for my dad to talk to me about alcohol, but he really tries to get through to me. I do hear what he's telling me, whether he believes it or not.
I want my kids to know that I don't approve of underage drinking, and I want to be a stronger influence than any of the kids they hang out with. I taught my kids something I call the 5 C's to help get them out of situations where friends may be drinking. Caution, cool it, change the plane, catch you later, and call me.
5 C's help me know what to say when someone offers me alcohol. I set my own boundaries. I use caution and ask what's going to be happening. I also cool it and name the negative behavior. If I'm offered alcohol, I say, nah, I don't want to drink. To change the plan, my dad showed me a really cool way to avoid alcohol without making it seem like I don't want to hang out with my friends. When one of my friends asked if I wanted to drink with her after school, I suggested we should check out the new skate park instead. He thought it was a great idea. I also tried catch you later. If my friend still wants to drink, I'll leave and say, see you later.
I let my kids know they can always call me to pick them up if they're worried alcohol may be involved. They can also tell their friends if they decide to do something that doesn't involve drinking.
I keep the door open if they want to change their mind. I say, call me later if you want to join us at the park.
Juan is doing so well in school, and I really don't want anything, especially alcohol, to stand in his way.
I've been trying really hard in school lately, and I'm proud of myself. I got a good grade on my bio test that I was pretty worried about. I've been hanging out with my new friend Pedro, and he's having a party this weekend at his house. I really want to go, but I also know my folks have rules about getting to know my friend's parents, just to make sure they're on the same page about alcohol not being around.
I always want what's best for Juan and for him to be safe. Whether it's him doing well in school or having a good social life and seeing his friends. I care about him. I just get concerned when he has to hang out with new friends and I don't know their parents. Still, I don't want to stand in the way of a fun time. So I always call a parent of Juan's new friend to make sure we agree about alcohol not being allowed. Getting to know Juan's friends is nice, so I usually have him invite his new friends to our house as well.
I think my mom and dad's rule is fair. I know they want what's best for me and my future. I don't want to get involved with alcohol. I'm okay with my mom and dad checking in every now and then when I make new friends.
Mom, I know you're afraid to talk to me about drinking, and sometimes I act like I'm not listening. But what you say about alcohol helps me say no. There's a lot of reasons kids use alcohol. Some want to take risks. Some just don't know what else to do. I don't want to drink. Be that voice in my head that says no.
Making firm rules like no drinking will help me know what to do if I'm ever put in a tough situation. Then, if I don't want to do something, I can say, hey, forget about the drinking. I don't want to get grounded. That's one of the best things you can do for me now.
I want to be close to my daughter and for her to feel as though she can talk to me. I didn't realize that rules could help with that. I'll make it clear to her, no alcohol or drugs. I love her and I want her to have a great future.
We've just seen 3 examples of ways parents can help their kids say no to alcohol. Have these conversations early and often to help prevent underage drinking. And visit this website for a free booklet on how you can protect your child from alcohol. Remember, your actions can make a big difference.
Hi there. So I hope you took to heart some of the messages in that public service announcement, and the impact of that message is one that I've certainly heard, but also I'm hoping that you'll stay with me as we finish our conversation with Chief O'Leary of the Foxborough Police Department, and as we now talk about what Foxborough is doing, what our police and what I hope you expect us as parents and adults to be doing to combat this issue.
Well, I think one of the key factors is we have to be able to communicate with our children. And I'm going to talk about 4 particular tips that will help you initiate these conversations. Certainly, you want to communicate with your children about the risks of using alcohol and drugs. You mentioned earlier at the start of the show the impact on the teen's brain is more significant early on with use of alcohol because their brains don't mature until their early 20s. And those people scientifically that have started abusing alcohol at an earlier age have had an impact on brain development. I know another factor is that you have to let your children know that you disapprove of any alcohol and drug use, that it's not acceptable behavior that you're willing to accept in your household. Sometimes I would drive my children and my wife batty because I'll read something in the paper relating to an incident, whether it's in another community, in another state, and that provides parents, when you see a story about underage drug use or a drug problem, to initiate a conversation because it's real, it's happening, that you can relate to. And finally, as much as we like to talk with our children, it's critical for parents to listen and engage in a conversation so that we listen to what they feel and what they see, to really develop a bond.
And part of that is also understanding the role of parent versus the role of being a friend to my kid. I don't want to ask because I don't want them to feel as though they can't trust me, but our kids are really looking to us to create that boundary and create that set of understanding of I am the parent and I am the one who is going to find out about what's going on. I am going to be friended on your Facebook and I am going to be part of your life as far as knowing what's going on. They need that and they really do want that, whether they let us know or not.
Well, I think for many parents, what you have laid out rings home that parents at times don't want to set boundaries for their children.
It's tough.
Difficult.
It's
Absolutely.
tough.
As being a parent, you're a parent of people that are in their teens, I believe now.
Yes, yes.
And
you got a little bit of a head start on me, but
that's right.
I'm catching up.
It's challenging, but we want to take steps that improve their opportunities for life, because unfortunately, many people make poor choices very early in their lives that have a spiraling effect. And we certainly give so many opportunities to the young people that grow up here in our community. We want them to be able to enjoy them and not fall behind with their peers and become on a spiral of a downward trajectory.
So I suppose that now is a good opportunity for me to ask, and again, Chief O'Leary with the Foxborough Police Department, what are the programs that the Foxborough Police Department are running or leading with the schools to help combat this?
Well, one of the things that we've done annually for well over a decade is the prom contract signing program. We work with the school department and the high school administration. They have a very elaborate contract that parents and students have to agree to. Unfortunately, because of some proms that in the 1990s didn't go off as well as they could have.
Yes.
Because of incidents. And since then, we've made it incumbent upon the parent and child to be here. I always like a moment in time that I can capture an audience. And over the years, we've had a wide variety of people coming in, guest speakers, whether it's been emergency room nurses, victims of horrific traffic crashes caused by drunk drivers. We've actually had a young man in the past through the district attorney's office that was a drunk driver that killed his own friend in an awful crash. So we try and provide a little bit of education. Last year we actually had a research scientist from Harvard and MIT coming in to talking about the impact of drugs on the brain. And interesting, as we're going into, we've decriminalized marijuana, and I'm going sort of sideways on the show here.
Well, that could be a whole nother topic in and of itself.
Right.
But
However, there was a startling piece of research that was included within our program talking about research done in Sweden during a long-term period that showed that there was a reduction over a 40-year period in people's IQs and ability to think through long-term use of marijuana. I'm not saying this is a scare tactic, but I think the well-financed proponents of the medical marijuana are trying to sell us a bill of goods. Almost as in old days, people would go from town to town selling snake oil as a cure for everything. And I think we've fallen prey to that type of marketing by proponents.
so I think I'm going to put you down on the survey of being against the decriminalization of marijuana, even in small amounts.
No, because our jails and correctional facilities are filled with people that for minor amounts of drugs have ended up with jail terms. That in itself doesn't bother me as much as people going to a physician for almost any malady and obtaining a prescription. I think that's going to filter down to the young people in our community that will be most vulnerable.
And you know what, I think that's going to circle us right back, because in addition to that, there's the issue of doctor shopping. And as adults, we've become, not me, but we've become very adept at working the system, working around the system, understanding limitations and where we can push. So with the legalization of medical marijuana, it seems to push the envelope just a little bit more. With the ability to doctor shop, it allows adults the opportunity to do more with less, or do more and get more. And kids are no different. Kids know how to work the system. Kids know, just like we know, that if Dad has a 30-pack and I borrow 6, he's not going to notice, and certainly nobody else is. Or if I have the vodka bottle and I take some out and I water it down, nobody's going to be the wiser. Speaking of snake oil salesmen, the bars and saloons have done it since time immemorial. So the accessibility is there, and then that brings us back to our kids and how they're getting the alcohol, and how we need to be diligent and to the right side of the bell curve when it comes to talking with them about it.
Well, I think, again, it comes back to individual conversations. Teens are very sophisticated now. They have the availability of obtaining information from a wide variety of sources, and hopefully they will challenge some of the things they see on Facebook pages and other websites that indicate or minimize the impact that it has on people's choices. The alcohol beverage industry spends billions of dollars a year to make drinking look like fun, no consequences, and then they salve their conscience by saying, please use responsibly, in microprint. But again, that's what we as parents are working against, is a multi-billion-dollar industry that spends billions on advertising their products.
And we as parents are the front line. We're the ones who know our kids, and we should know when something needs to be addressed. Chief, we are so out of time. I'm going to give you the last word, but again, I hope you at home have enjoyed not only the conversation in the PSA, but have taken to heart some of the messages, and will work with our police department and understanding the issue, and work with your families to address the issue. Chief, last word.
Well, Bob, thank you very much. We're going to provide some web information of sites that parents can go to on establishing conversations with your children, in establishing better information for you to have about the consequences of teen alcohol use, and hopefully some general information that as a community we can all work better to preventing a tragedy from happening here in Foxborough.
And of course, if you want more information from our police department, you can contact them on the business line at 508-543-4343. They also have a web presence through our town website, And you have Facebook?
We're also on Facebook.
Everybody's on Facebook.
Thankfully, I have some talented people that are very fluent in our new emerging technologies, and it was actually a suggestion from my staff so that we could provide better information for the community in a more rapid fashion.
So be a friend of the police on Facebook, be a friend to your kids, but also don't let that get in the way of being a parent. Until next time, folks, thank you for taking a little bit of time to sit with me and Chief O'Leary of Foxborough Police Department. On behalf of all the volunteers and staff here at Foxborough Cable Access, have a great day, folks.